Okay, we are now live. The time is 6:04, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. The board members are participating via Zoom meeting. I'd like to welcome those who are participating via Zoom and those watching the board meeting via live streaming. The link to the meeting is on the district webpage under Board of Education. The streaming will run through the end of the meeting. When the board is on break or in a closed executive session, the screen will fade to black and the sound will be muted. In the event there is a disruption in the audio portion, I will pause the meeting until it is reestablished. We currently have Mr. Gibson, Mr. Stephen Otero, Mr. Frank Otero, Mr. Vickers, Mr. Eloy Hidon, the cabinet, Ms. Karen Wolf, Ms. Margot Rivera, Ms. Anna Padilla, and our captioner participating via Zoom. I'll also ask that everybody mute your meeting until you are speaking, and when you do speak, please announce your name. Mr. Gibson, would you please announce the meeting?
Hello, Mr. Smith. This meeting has been announced in accordance with the Open Meetings Resolution and is a legally constituted meeting of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Mr. Vickers, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Vickers. Brings us to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Mr. Gibson, are there any changes or deletions to the agenda?
There are no changes or deletions, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I would stand for a motion on the agenda. So moved. I have a motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to approve the agenda as submitted by Mr. Gibson and the staff. I will stand for a second.
I will second it.
I have a second by Mr. Eloy Hidon to approve the agenda as submitted by Mr. Gibson and his staff. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. That would bring us to item number 5, approval of the consent items. I would stand for a motion regarding the consent items. And if you hang on 1 second, let me find a pen that works. 1 second. Oh, geez, this one's better. It's time for a motion regarding the consent items.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve make a motion that we approve the consent items with the exception of window cleaning services.
What's the item number?
That's D, C, D, or 1D. The 1J, which is district cellular phone services. And
Mr. Smith, members of the board, can you give me just 2 minutes? I need to send you something really quickly. Can you hold for me just 1 minute?
Sure. Let's wait just a couple of seconds. Is that your neighbor's dog, Frank?
That's my, there's somebody at the gate.
Mr. Smith, members of the board, I just emailed you the final consent sheet. That way you have all the numbers correctly.
I think we're ready. So, Mr. Otero, I have moved the consent sheet with the exception of item number C, I, D, and C, I, J, and was there another one?
One more, the financial advisory services. So CIK.
C, I, K. I have a motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to approve the consent items with the exception of item C1D, which is the window cleaning services, item C1J, which is the district cell phone service, and item C1K, which is the financial advisory services. I'll stand for a second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Frank Otero. Thank you, Frank. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eli Hidong, how do you vote?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. For the benefit of the audience, all agenda items have been reviewed by the board members individually. Consent items are the action items on the agenda presented by the superintendent and staff for approval. If no discussion has been asked regarding these items by any of the board members, the items may be submitted for approval with one motion and one vote. That will bring us to item number 7, Acting Superintendent's Report. I will turn this over to Mr. Gibson. Everybody please mute.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I have a couple of brief reports. The first one is an update on our planning for the opening of school. The cabinet and I and other leaders in the district have been meeting for a couple of weeks about strategies for the opening of school. I received about 5 o'clock this afternoon from Joe Guillen a copy, and I'm going to hold it up for you to see, a copy of the school reentry task force report from the Public Education Department. Secretary Stewart had put together a school reentry task force. I've read the report once and looked at it's a 6-page report. It recommends strategies for reopening, of course, all of them somewhat dependent on how we reopen. Do we reopen with a limited number of students in school? Do we reopen with alternate day schooling, alternate week schooling, or do we open remotely? I'm pleased that the issues that we've been talking about are very much the issues that are included in this report from the Secretary's Advisory Committee. We've looked at issues of curriculum and instruction and how do we most effectively match what we're doing remotely with what might happen in the schools. How do we connect with students electronically, both in the school and remotely? And more important than anything, how do we know where kids are when they come back to school? How do we develop an assessment that we can use at the beginning of the year to know what the gap in learning has meant to our students? And obviously that will be varied across our students and our schools. I want to let you know that we are receiving $1.5 million from the federal government as part of the CARES Act. The cabinet and I submitted a preliminary plan to the secretary. All of this money needs to be used for eliminating or ameliorating the effects of the pandemic. Our proposal will eventually come to you once the state has approved it. We proposed spending about half of that money for the kinds of things that we would need to prepare our schools and to open our schools. Cleaning our schools, transportation system, PPE, masks, all of those kinds of things that are a result of the pandemic. And as we started thinking about things, you can imagine the myriad of issues we have to consider. How do we feed students? Do we feed them in the cafeteria? Do we feed them in their classroom? How is the food prepared? How do we make sure that when food does come to kids in the classroom or in the cafeteria, that it's been protected from any kind of infection? How do we transport students? We do not have guidelines yet other than general ones about how our bus system should run, whether we can transport all of the kids in our normal routes, or we have to transport half the kids, whether they have to be separated by 6 feet. So this CARES money is going to be used, half of it's going to be used for all of those things. The other half we've proposed to be used for technology and instruction-related items that will allow us to enhance our remote learning capability as well as our learning capability with students in the schools, depending, again, on how many students are there, how often they come to school, how long their school day is, all of those kinds of variables. So I'm pleased that our planning, our proposal for spending this CARES money aligns very much with what the state has suggested we should be thinking about doing. We're well underway. We will be reporting back to you periodically as we know more about how schools are going to reopen. I suspect that we will probably not know the final details of what the governor and the secretary are going to allow until some point in early August. We are tentatively scheduled because the state has, the PED has reestablished the extended learning time, and we are an extended learning time district. We are tentatively scheduled to return on October 10th, when we will have 4 days of staff development. That obviously is dependent on a whole number of variables, but right now, what did I say, October 10th, I'm sorry, Karen just corrected me. August 10th is what I meant. We will be coming back to school on August 10th, all things remaining the same. So I'd be more than happy to listen to comments from the board, suggestions on things that we can do, issues that I might not have mentioned. Perhaps I can tell you we've already discussed them, but this is obviously number one on our list of things to do this summer is to plan for the reopening of school.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Board members, any comment on item number A?
I have a question for Mr. Gibson.
Mr. Stephen?
Mr. Gibson, have you come across any issues in reference to possibly having to install any type of plexiglass for the secretary's desk or the receptionist's desk? Or what are the plans, just in case, for those that are going to be receiving people continuously, they're going to have more contact with those? Because I know there's an issue with plexiglass out there. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have come across any issues with that yet?
That is, and again, Mr. Otero, I just received these guidelines from the state at 5 o'clock, so I've only read through them once. There are lots of particular guidelines. I didn't see anything about separating receptionists or secretaries or entries to school by plexiglass. It may very well be there. If it is, I will email you tomorrow and tell you what those guidelines are.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just know that there's an issue with the plexiglass being available to anybody, and I know that everybody's scrambling for that. Another question I had is, are you actively including our head nurse or whoever's in charge of the nursing department to give her input and everything else on this?
The nurse will be involved in the task force on student safety and reopening the schools following PPE guidelines.
Okay, is there any, do you guys have, you don't have a shortage of face masks, or kids are looking for face masks that can't do something?
We jumped right on that, and we have orders for face masks for staff, for students. We have orders for hand sanitizer. In fact, Brian Baca just brought back, what was it, 10 5-gallon containers of sanitizer, Brian? Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, we did. We, through the Valencia County Fire Department, we did receive 50 gallons of hand sanitizer, along with 2,000 masks.
So we're stocking up. We don't yet have any firm decision on masks. Obviously, people will have to wear them, but if families choose to send a mask with a student, as long as it meets certain standards, we're fine with that. But we will have masks on hand for staff and students, and more than enough to begin the school year.
I guess I'm gonna say you guys are probably ahead of the game, just like you were when school shut down with remote learning with our kids. I think our district was probably on top of the game for that. So hopefully everything's gonna continue working for you guys.
Thank you. We're trying to stay on top of the game and make sure that we've got everything taken care of.
Excellent. I got a text from my wife. She's watching in the other room. She says the audio is really bad. I don't know if anybody's gotten that other information. That it's breaking up. I don't know if there's anything. It's from our end.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's Karen. They're working on it. They're working on the quality. There's been some issues with a few of the networks, so they're still working on it, and they're trying to make it more clear.
I would say for the benefit of our people that are in and watching this, would it be wise to maybe have a break till they correct it, or do they know if they might be able to correct it?
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Gibson, I don't know. I just know that they're working on it. That's all I have. So if not, I'm sure they will have it better by the time we come out of closed session is what I'm hoping, or sooner. But I know Brian's in there scrambling.
Dear Mr. Gibson, I thought you had an excellent report. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
No, that's just part one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
I have a question on part one.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is the $1.5 million, is that based on enrollment, or is that just?
It's based on district size.
Okay.
Slightly more than 1.5 million, but we also included 2 private schools in the immediate area. So when you take away the small amount of money they're getting, it's 1.5 million for the district.
I got you. Okay, perfect. That was my question. Somebody else had one?
Yeah, it is size-based.
Mr. Vickers?
Vickers, I just wanted to state that I really think it is very desirable to start school as close to on time as possible in person. There's safety issues for a lot of kids being isolated in their homes, not in a public setting for this long a period of time. And I think we're going to need to be there and have the students in the schools, because sometimes we are their last resort as far as safety and reporting abuse and stuff like that.
That would definitely be our preference, Mr. Vickers, but safely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Vickers. And I also read it, and if you only got it at 5, it's a 7-page document, and it's pretty thorough because I skimmed over it, and there's so many factors that you go in there. You have 20 teachers that are ready to teach, but 10 of them are high risk. I mean, there's all kinds of precautions you have to take. So yeah, that's going to take a lot of time. That's a big undertaking, but I'm sure that you guys will do fine with it.
Yeah, we have to dissect it.
Correct. Any other comments on item number 7A?
Mr. President,
Mr. Hidon.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Gibson. Thank you for that presentation. I want to thank you and your cabinet for the work you're doing with this. You mentioned the monies and you mentioned your date. And I'm sure you have some more of these follow-up meetings. What target dates do you have that we need to be aware of that you have benchmarked? Say the communications portion, the buses. Do you have any of those dates already set for that you guys need to hit?
I don't think we have specific dates yet. We've been sitting in on a meeting with the secretary every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. The meetings are getting more and more brief, and we were expecting this report to come to us. I want to get this report out to the cabinet and to the staff
two,
The only one I don't see is Claire.
yeah, Claire and,
Karen.
Claire's walking back to her office.
okay. That was perfect.
Now, did Susan, I know Susan was there. Did she tell you about our other option, Brian?
She did, but, so, I guess, Karen, if we did that, Mr. Gibson couldn't click on a link though and join, is that correct? He doesn't have any internet, if we go down.
Well, he and I kind of talked about a backup plan if it need be that it came to that. But I know that we got a hold of Sydney, and so if we did have to go to a Zoom option where we put the link on our homepage and through our social media, we can do that as well. But I know that, you know,
Okay,
so that is a plan. I know Susan, she's been working with Sydney on that, so she has the plan in case it comes to that.
okay, perfect. Of Mr. Gibson's acting superintendent's report. We are on item 7B, I believe, if there were no more questions on the planning for the opening of school. I think, Mr. Hidon, you were talking. Were you finished?
Yes, Mr. President, we're good.
Thank you, Mr. Hidon. Mr. Gibson, I will turn it back over to you for item 7B.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm going to give you the condensed Reader's Digest version of this, just in case we have technology problems again. So you all know that we are in the queue with the Public School Capital Outlay Committee for the rebuild of Peralta Elementary School. At this point, we have finished the ed specs. They've been reviewed by the principal and the staff at Peralta. The feasibility study, which is the study of what we can do on that site to use it as a rebuild, because the school will be totally rebuilt. That feasibility study has been completed. It's in draft form, and it will be presented to the Public School Finance Authority staff and our staff very soon. Then we are scheduled for a July presentation to the Public School Capital Outlay Committee. That's a 30-minute presentation, very tight. They want a 10-minute presentation, 15 minutes for questions, and 5 minutes for follow-up. Our team will include the superintendent, school board members, the district financial and facilities directors, our district bond advisor, and a design professional. During that time, we will review the district's history with construction projects finished on time and within budget, and that, of course, has been excellent. We will completely describe the project. We will give the district financial summary. In this case, the funding is 76 cents from the state to 24 from the district. And then obviously there's time for discussion with the staff from PSCOC. I would recommend that we have a board work session late this month or early next month in preparation for that presentation to PSCOC. I think the major question that we're going to have because this plan follows the facilities master plan. It has been approved preliminarily by PSCOC. The major question that we need to talk about is locating an early childhood center on that site. So we had proposed, and I wasn't involved in this proposal, but I've read it. We had proposed an early childhood center on the east side of the river at Peralta and one on the west side at Raymond Gabaldon. So I would suggest that we schedule a board work session at your convenience later this month or early next month, so we'll be ready for the mid-July presentation to PSCOC. That's the Reader's Digest version.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Board members, any comments?
I've got a
Thank you.
question. Do you have a design team on staff for this yet, or not yet? Does that come after the fact?
Not yet, that will come after this.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Otero. Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Also, one more time, if we could just mute unless you're going to speak.
I will.
Everybody, I'm just hearing a bunch of stuff. So, no further questions. That'll bring us to item number 8C, D, window cleaning services. Mr. Stephen Otero.
Yes, I don't really have an issue with this. I just wanted to, for the benefit of the public, know and express out there what the window cleaning services are for. I'm sure they're for the high school because of the high levels, and of course, that has to be done by professionals. So I just wanted to, let the public know about where, in fact, we're using window cleaning services. But I understand it's the high school only. So if somebody could just kind of give us a report on the OSHA requirements and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there are 3 sites, Mr. Otero, all of which would need scaffolding. Los Lunas High School, the second story, Sundance, there's some second story windows there, and the Performing Arts Center at Valencia High School. Those are the 3 that will be cleaned professionally.
That's all I want to know.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Gibson and Mr. Stephen Otero. That brings us to item number, any more questions on that one? Item number 8CIJ.
Mr. Smith, members of the board, could we get a motion on that one?
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero.
don't we need a vote on that?
Yeah, we do. So I will stand for a motion on 8CID.
I make a motion that we approve this window cleaning service.
A motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to approve item 8ID, window cleaning services. I'll stand for a second.
I'll second that.
A second by Mr. Vickers. Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote, Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. That brings us to item 8CIJ, District Cellular Phone Services, Mr. Stephen Otero.
I likewise just wanted to see if maybe we can get a kind of a general description of who all is using phone services. I don't have an issue with it. I know it's very important in today's day and age in reference to even getting emails on their phones. So I know it's an expensive item, and I don't know who could, if Mr. Gibson can just give an overview of how.
I'd be glad to, Mr. Otero.
Thank you.
This is a contract with Sprint Nextel. It was bid in 2021. We are in the 3rd year of an 8-year contract with a locked-in price. And actually, the price was locked in 2016. It is a contract for 180 phones and 77 GPS units at $120,000 a year.
So the question is, can any, for instance, I know on the GPS, that's quite expensive. If the district wanted to drop GPS down the line, because we're gonna have to start looking at reference to saving money, I'm sure, as soon as our new session comes in with legislature. And so I just want to know, is that like a contract that we're stuck to, or can it be
And
eliminated?
I don't know the answer to that. Claire may know. Is that per unit, per GPS? If we decided to drop some of those, would that price be less?
Mr. Gibson, members of the board, Mr. Smith, yes, that is for 77 GPS units, but we can reduce that amount or increase that amount, which would affect the bill.
Well, in reducing it, I guess the question I have, there's no penalties to reduce it. We're not locked in to keep those GPS for another year?
That is correct.
We're not allowed, we're not mandated to keep them for a year, or we can eliminate them?
We can eliminate them.
Okay. All right. That's good for me. Thank you.
Any questions on item 8CIJ?
No, we just did, Jay.
We need to approve it.
Yeah, this is J. No more questions on 8CIJ? I'll stand for a motion on 8CIJ.
I make a motion to approve 8CIJ.
We have a motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to approve item 8CIJ, the district cellular phone services. I'll stand for a second.
I'll second it.
A second by Mr. Eloy Hidon. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That brings us to item number 8CIK, Financial Advisory Services. Mr. Stephen Otero.
Here again, I just want for the public to know how this works for our district and who gives us the advisory services and how does that work for, I don't know, is it related to investments? How is this related to our budget?
So this is a contract with RBC Capital. We've been working with RBC for over 20 years. We worked with them all the time I was here. They advise us on when to go into the bond market, to sell bonds for the best advantage to the district. Their service, certainly in the time I was here, and I have no reason to believe it hasn't been since then, is exemplary. They are really good at what they do. They get us the best terms for selling our bonds. They've been a valued partner for over 20 years.
Perfect.
Any more comments on item 8CIK? We will stand for a motion on item 8CIK, Financial Advisory Services.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to approve item 8CIK. I'll stand for a second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Frank Otero. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That brings us to item number 9, closed executive session, discuss limited personnel matters related to the continued employment of the superintendent and discussion of potential buyout of the employment contract of the superintendent as permitted under section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act and communication with legal counsel regarding pending or threatened litigation related to the personnel and financial investigation directed by legal counsel in anticipation of litigation, including a receipt of preliminary report from REDW on same and discussion of personnel options related to the continued employment of the superintendent and possible reporting of investigation findings to date to the Office of the State Auditor as permitted under section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. I will stand for a motion regarding item number 9.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
I have a motion by Stephen Otero to go into closed executive session to discuss limited personnel matters related to the continued employment of the superintendent and discussion of potential buyout of the employment contract of the superintendent as permitted under section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, and communications with legal counsel regarding pending or threatened litigation related to the personnel and financial investigation directed by legal counsel in anticipation of litigation, including receipt of preliminary report from REDW on same, and discussion of personnel options related to the continued employment of the superintendent, and possible reporting of investigation findings to the office of the state auditor as permitted under section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. I will stand for a second.
I will second that.
I have a second by Mr. Eloy Hidon. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Can we have discussion, please?
Yes.
Number one, in the paragraph, I would like to strike the words "in anticipation of litigation." I can make that in the form of a motion, an amendment.
In which section? There's pending or threatened litigation, or?
No, not that. The part that says "in anticipation of litigation." The pending or threatened is
Including?
okay.
So you,
President,
Mr. Hidon.
we have a motion and a second. We're asking to amend our motions, but Mr. Vickers, could you tell us why you would want for us to strike that?
Because that is specifically addressed by the Attorney General in the analysis of the law, that just anticipating litigation is not a valid reason to go into executive session. It has to be actual initiated litigation or a credible threat of litigation. That's covered above there, but not just anticipation of litigation.
So, Mr. Vickers, what is your reasoning to take it out for anticipation of litigation? Is it pertaining to REDW or is it pertaining to something else?
It's pertaining to, it's not a valid reason to go into executive session. It's not pertaining to any particular item or issue. It's just not a valid reason to be included to go into an executive session.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hidon.
members of the board, Mr. Vickers, I can't remember what meeting it was, but we were given direction from our legal counsel. It was word for word that he gave on this. So he gave us the direction and gave us this. So are you trying to say you want to go against our attorney's recommendation?
Well, the Attorney General has specifically stated that this kind of language is not permissible. So I guess it depends on who you want to trust, is the Attorney General or our board attorney.
I've got a question. So, Mr. Vickers, do you have that, is this just from research on your part from the Attorney General, or do you have an actual document that the Attorney General provided to you?
There was an analysis done by the Attorney General that is available on the web of this particular law. And it addresses this particular kind of wording in that analysis.
But you don't have nothing from the Attorney General yourself?
Not on this specific one
Okay.
for this meeting, no.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Vickers, I understand your comments during our comment section that you would like to have seen the word anticipation of litigation removed from the item, but we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there
Mr.
anyone?
President,
Mr. Stephen Otero.
based on our discussion, I do not want to change my motion. do not want to.
Thank you, Mr. Otero. So I have a motion. Mr. Vickers.
Mr. President, when there's a motion and a second, well, okay, I guess you have to either vote, if the motion is voted for, then an amendment to the motion can be proposed. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if there is no more comment on the motion and the second, I will take roll. Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. So, Mr. Vickers, I understand that you have a concern with the wording of the thing, and your concern will be noted. We took roll and the motion passed 4-1. The board will go into closed executive session.
Mr. Smith,
Mr. Vickers.
I would like to propose an amendment to the motion stating that the words "in anticipation of litigation" be struck.
Mr. Vickers, will you please read your amended motion?
I move that the words "in anticipation of litigation," approximately in the middle of that paragraph, that for the closed executive session, that those 4 words be struck.
So you're making a motion to amend what we've already voted for.
Mr. President. Mr. President,
You done?
we had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion, we voted on it. And it passed 4-1.
That is correct.
Mr. Vickers, if you think we're breaking open meetings act, you don't have to go into executive session. I think that's your prerogative. But we already have something that passed, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero, please.
I just want to stand for the record of that, that I brought this issue up, in a recent meeting, and then our attorney, didn't like what I had to say, and so, to this point, I haven't heard from the Attorney General on whether we broke the law or not, and I'm still waiting for the Attorney General, by the way, to respond. So I can only value Mr. Vickers' interpretation of the law, but, that's the reason why I voted yes, is because to this point, I haven't heard, I've heard from another group, but I haven't heard from the AG, so that's, I just want to make that perfectly clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Otero.
Okay, one other thing, Mr. Smith.
Yes, Mr. Vickers.
I would like Mr. Gibson to be in this executive session.
For the purpose of?
Because he is the administrator of the school district at this point. And if there are questions that need to be answered, he can answer them or get somebody who can, rather than us going in there on our own and trying to make decisions without somebody to answer questions that may arise.
Board members, any discussion?
I don't have a problem with Mr. Gibson being in this meeting as well.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hidon?
I have no problem. Mr. Gibson is not our administrator. He is our superintendent, and I have no problem inviting him into our executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Hidon. Any more comments? Mrs. Wolf, will you make sure that Mr. Gibson gets the link to the closed executive session?
Yes, sir.
So I have a motion and a second. We voted, took roll 4-1. The board is now in closed executive session, noting Mr. Gibson, Mr. Vickers' comments. Please leave this meeting and go to closed executive. If you can hear me, give a thumbs up. Okay, I stand for a motion to go back into regular session.
Mr. President, go back into regular session.
Mr. Vickers,
I move that we go back into regular session.
the motion by Mr. Vickers to go into regular session. I'll stand for a second.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Eli Hidon. Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Eli Hidon, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. The board is back in regular session at 9:13 p.m. The board went into closed executive session to discuss limited personnel matters related to the continued employment of the superintendent and discussion of potential buyout of the employment contract of the superintendent as permitted under section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, and communications with legal counsel regarding pending or threatened litigation related to the personnel and financial investigation directed by legal counsel in anticipation of litigation, including receipt of preliminary report from REDW on same, and discussion of personnel options related to the continued employment of the superintendent and possible reporting of investigation findings to date to the Office of the State Auditor as permitted under Section 10-15-1H7 of the Open Meetings Act. That brings us to item number 10, discussion and action as needed to determine the continued employment of the superintendent, including authorizing the board president to
Mr.
implement. Yes, ma'am.
You need that last line.
I'm sorry.
You need the last line, no other items.
Is that on here?
Should be, no other items were discussed, no action was taken in closed session. That's the last piece. It may be on the second page. But that's the last thing you have to say.
I will say no other items were discussed. No action was taken in closed executive session. That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are we good, Ms. Wolf?
Yes, sir. I just needed that statement for the record.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 10, discussion and action is needed to determine the continued employment of the superintendent, including authorizing the board president to implement the decision of the board on her employment. I will stand for a motion regarding item number 10.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hidon.
at this time I move to discharge the employment of the superintendent. And for the board president to coordinate the issuance of a notice of intent to discharge to the superintendent to end her contract for employment. That's in form of a motion.
So could you repeat it one more time, Mr. Hidon?
Okay, make sure I get it right again. Okay, I move to discharge the employment of the superintendent and for the board president to coordinate the issuance of a notice of intent to discharge to the superintendent to end her contract for employment.
I have a motion by Mr. Eloy Hidon to discharge the employment of the superintendent and to authorize the board president to implement the discharge of the superintendent. I will stand for a second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Stephen Otero. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes 3-2. I will stand for a motion on item number 11, discussion and action is needed to determine reporting requirement to the Office of the State Auditor, including authorizing the board president to implement the decision of the board on making such a report if needed. I think we have no action required on this particular item. Is that correct? Board members? Mr. Frank Otero.
Mr. President, I would say that there's no action required.
At this time, there is no action required on item number 11.
If I can, just, as a matter of clarification, we just got a report, but there's still more to come, I guess, right? And that's why there's no action.
That is correct. They're not finished with their report. That brings us to item number 12, new business. Are there any requests for topics for upcoming work sessions and/or board meetings? New business is just utilized to give a topic to be discussed in the future. Please do not discuss anything in detail as the item is not on the current agenda.
I have a point of new business and just a clarification. And I think there might have been more than myself contacted by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, I believe. I want to know, I think Mr. Gibson, if I could ask, were you contacted by them? Because they said
I was, Mr. Otero. We have a meeting with the gentleman, is it Mr. Griego? Is that his name?
Correct.
Yeah, we have a meeting with him on the 23rd of this month.
Good. I hope that goes well. Looks like they're willing to help with.
Yeah, with an apprenticeship program and a training program. Yeah.
Perfect. Look forward to, if I can help or be involved in any type of committee, I'd like to be included on that.
Okay, we need to meet with him first and see what he has to say and what the proposal is, and we will get back to you probably at the next board meeting.
Excellent.
Any other items for new business? Thank you, board members. Mr. Gibson, as soon as you get that done with your meeting and everything, yeah, I believe you told me you were going to update us and fill us in on how that fit into our curriculum and what we could do to provide this service to our students. That brings us to item number 13, announcement of meetings. As allowed by the Open Meeting Act and District Open Meetings Resolution, on occasion, a quorum of board members attend the same function, including those held at school sites at the district level, as well as sports functions, conferences, workshops, and trainings. Board members will refrain from discussing and/or acting on board issues in those settings. In addition, only official meetings are published, and if other meetings are scheduled, they will be announced in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. I'd like to announce the following meetings. On July 14th, 2020, there's a Finance Committee meeting via Zoom at 4 p.m., unless something drastically changes. On July 21st, there will be a regular board meeting in the boardroom or Zoom at 6 p.m. The meeting locations are dependent on mandates from the governor. If need be, they will be held via Zoom. That brings us to item number 14, adjournment. I'll stand for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Stephen Otero to adjourn. I'll stand for a second.
Second.
A second by Mr. Dave Vickers to adjourn. Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Stephen Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Eloy Hidon, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Meeting adjourned at 9:22.